A couple weeks ago I did one on the District of Columbia Organization Act. It set the stage in 1933 or real close to that, right after the gold standard. Okay, so the District of Columbia Organization Act, just real quick, Congress gave them 10 square miles, the District of Columbia, to set up a government. It didn't say a government for anyone. It just said a government. And if you look up that stuff and you understand it, you open your eyes and see it, it was set up as a government to realistically collect a debt. The bankers are in place at that time, IRS, and we even have now, which was really cool, the organization of the corporation called Internal Revenue Service in Delaware, and it was signed by 3 people. And so now we're going to show you how they kind of keep you under their thumb. Now, I get to see documents all the time. People ask me to read documents for them and just kind of proofread them before they send them off to a de facto court for either. I mean, it's anywhere from, this is incredible. I'm going to give you the wide range. Dog at large to federal incarceration for 97 years. So we get to see a lot of that stuff, and the grand jury gets to see a lot of that stuff here. We're going to talk about another thing that they have the ability to get you into their corner, and you don't even realize you're doing it. But if you send something to a court with a zip code on it, you're saying, I'm a slave and I'm a debtor to your organization, and I have agreed to help you pay back that debt. So be careful with the zip codes. Now, the reason why I'm telling you all this is all that stuff it's scary, at least, to go against a court, even for a small traffic ticket. And I can tell you that I have been on both ends of the stick, done a little jail time for contempt of court because I didn't understand a few small rules. I understand those rules now. I also know how to get the ticket thrown out of court before it is even brought before a trial. I mean, just in a hearing. I've been able to recently help with documentation where we didn't even go to court. We sent in enough documentation so that the judge understood who we were and what that ticket was all about, which is commerce. We paid him well for releasing his what we call subrogation. All these things are really cool for if you're willing to learn and study. All this stuff is just a computer away from responding to the judge or to a clerk of the court, because that's where the instance lies. But the zip code is voluntary. If you look at it, it says, see Domestic Mail Services Regulation Section 122.32. You should also know that the Postal Service cannot discriminate against the non-use of the zip code. Does anybody know you can send a letter anywhere in the world for 3 cents? 3 cents. Now, here's some homework for you to do this week. I would like for you all to send me a letter here, 1920 West Peoria, with a 3-cent stamp on it. But here's the only catch. You have to spell out the return address all the way. You can't abbreviate Arizona. You can't abbreviate Mr. It has to be all spelled out, everything. And write it in what we call proper English, upper lowercase, and put it in the mail. The reason why I'm making that a point is because Bern, Switzerland is the head postal service for the world. That's why Switzerland is always in a neutral position. They don't enter any wars because they are the first original jurisdiction for postal and for treaties. So if you are an international citizen by way of registered mail through bonds in Bern, Switzerland, you may have some immunities in corporate venues. Did I say that like Winston Churchill? Yeah. Now, if you didn't understand that stuff, that's extremely powerful. And all you have to do is look it up. Okay, let's go to the next.
Where do you look it up?
Online. Pull up the Washington District of Columbia Act. You can also look up Winston Shroud and write down this word, Kelowna. Kelowna. When you pull that up on Google for video search, a link will come up, and it's 9 or 10 videos. I think there's 9 videos there. I watched the first video at least 100 times. Now, I was going to bed at night with the video on and watching it until I fell asleep. But I put it on repeat. Now, that's called brainwashing. I don't care what you call it. A lot of people, my friends, some of the friends I had when I started this deal are gone. It scared the heck out of them that I was talking this way. But the people that I met along the way, have replaced them fourfold. I mean, I found a friend in Hal Epperson, and man, have we been through some stuff together. We got this third brain sticking out back here, or second brain that's, got all this information in it. And when we understand how to use it, it's just like, lets off the pressure and go, wow, remember that? And so we've really won some battles together. You guys can do the same thing, and we'd love to be a part of your life that way so that we can encourage you to go on. We met with an attorney the other day, and he says, I won several cases. I used contract law only, and I asked for the note, and all 3 times they couldn't find it. We just lucked out. They couldn't find it. And I said, dude, there are no notes. There's no notes. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, let me give you a document so you don't think I'm crazy, but it's called Where the Fraud Begins. They get you to sign, they pay off the note with your signature, then they take that deed and they make 40 to 50 copies of it. They put them in securities-backed mortgages, and whoever's holding the original is the fraud. That's the guy that committed the fraud, so they have Brinks armored cars come in, and they shred them by the thousands a day. So that there's no... And then they sell it to somebody real quick. So who made the copies? Who made all the copies? I don't know. We ain't got the original. We don't know. So the original's gone. And he goes, you're kidding me. And I looked at him like, you don't know this stuff? Are you kidding me? I go, you can call the ball on them every time, because there isn't, unless it's a private note, that somebody loaned somebody else some money and kept the deed in their safe, they're never going to find it. And he looked at me and I said, but you got to be real careful. Because if you use this too much, you're going to stand out, and the bankers are going to make sure the other lawyers have you for lunch. So be real careful. Is that the truth? They'll just buy him out. They'll say, hey, you're going to make a couple $1 million over the next couple years on this deal. Let's just get you to do something else. Let's have you do criminal, or we'll have you do accidents, or we'll have you do insurance stuff. We'll just have you do something else, and we'll pay your way. And he'll disappear from doing that kind of work again. So I told him to be very careful. But I want to explain the zip code. Citizen of the District of Columbia. You see down here at the bottom where it says subject of Congress, and a citizen of the District of Columbia who is a resident. Okay, that means you're just residing here, that you're not part of this. And you're part of the District of Columbia. So when you sign anything with a zip code, that's what it's telling you. The receipt of mail with a zip code is one of the requirements for the IRS to have jurisdiction to send you notices. Has anyone notified the IRS and told them that you don't have a zip code? Nobody has. Why didn't they tell us? They have a form that you can fill out and send to them. And here's the reason why. Whenever they pass an act, a statute, a code, they're not laws, so they have to give you remedy. They have to give you a way out. They don't have to tell you where it's at, but they have to have it. It's like coming into this building. Does anybody know where the fire exit is? All we have to have is one, okay? And we can have it marked, but we don't have to have it lit up. That's what their program is. They don't have to tell you where it's at. So like I was explaining last 2 weeks ago, these are all the laws. The remedy for the law over here on the top left may be down here in another statute, but they always give us remedy so that we don't have to participate. If you see, in fact, the Internal Revenue Service has adopted the zip code areas as internal revenue districts. See the Federal Register, Volume 51, Number 53. That's one of your remedies. Wednesday, March 19th, 1986. See, they understood later on in life. Oh man, these guys are getting us. So we gotta be careful, because international could come in and say we're doing something fraudulent. Does anybody know that the IRS answers to someone? Well, the IMF kind of has a thing going on with the IRS, but raise that up a little more. The Postal Service is a private corporation, a quasi-governmental agency. However, they signed a treaty with Bern, Switzerland, and UPU, Universal Postal Union. That's it, Universal. Okay. So they are under laws also. And if they violate any of those laws, the postmaster, whoever violated that law, okay, is in big trouble. Now, I sent certified mail to a court in Kane County, Utah, and it said that it was signed for on the 7th, and he gave it back to me. But it was entered into the court record on the 6th. Now, how could they enter it into the record on the 6th if they didn't receive it till the 7th? I don't know, but I went and asked a couple of questions and filled out a form, and that postmaster is gone. I don't know where he went. Now, I suppose that there's some insurance money to collect on that, I wasn't after anybody's job, and I'm not really looking to get rich. I just asked a question. I'll tell you how powerful that was. When I took in a court document that was stamped and sealed, that was entered in on the 6th of October, and his note said that it wasn't signed for by the 7th, means that they left that mail with the court and didn't get a signature until the next day. That's bad news for them. Now, I'm just telling you some of these things so that maybe you'll understand before you sign something, before you put your zip code on it. Maybe you ought to think about a few things before you put your zip code on, especially if you're trying to make a statement that you're not in a zip code. Single piece rates, right there. It says bearing a simplified address. Raise it down just a little, lower it just a little bit. Okay. Zip codes may be omitted from pieces of mail by the general public at the single piece rates for first class mail and standard mail, and from pieces bearing a simplified address. So we went over that with a simplified address. No abbreviations. Let's raise it up some more. This is your homework for next week. What does your zip code with a -9998 mean?
Subdivision? Non-domestic without the U.S.
That's what it means right there.
What?
Now, non-domestic without the U.S. They're telling you that if you don't want to reside in the IRS's jurisdiction or any federal district jurisdiction, just put that on your mail. So whenever you sign up for something, your Verizon bill, your water bill, you get free dog food in the mail, and they want to know how your dog liked it, and you send it back. -9998 means you don't live in the United States. You live in America. Did you guys know there's a difference between the United States and America? It's a huge difference. Go ahead.
What is the 9998? What is the 5 X's?
That's your zip code. So if you live in Flagstaff, it's 86004-9998, and you put it in boxes like that, and that relieves you of any responsibility as a resident to help pay back the debt of a nation.
Well then, I thought you just said don't use zip codes.
If you want to use a zip code, this is what the USPS is saying that you can do if you don't want to be part of our game.
Oh, okay.
The remedy.
So you use the X's and not your zip code.
You use your zip code. I've just put X's in there because everybody has different zip codes here.
But you put it in the bracket, right?
And in the brackets, eliminates it from the whole deal. It's not part of the contract.
Can you just kind of handwrite that in?
You can. You can put square. You can actually put the whole thing in a square box if you'd like to. They can still see it. They can get your mail to you. Okay, I'm going to go up a little bit more. So this gets even more self-explanatory. And when I pulled up the United States Post Office zip codes, there's a lot of stuff on there. There's some good stuff from secured party creditors on there. See, when I understand something that's going on, and I got a feeling, you know what that feeling is? It's a hunch that something's not right. You guys get the same thing. Yep. You get the same thing. You ever get a hunch when you're going through a signal light and the light flashes and you go, that wasn't right. They just took my picture. That's not right. Did anybody supersede their contract on the license on their vehicle in the last, say, 6 months? Yeah, supersede the contract. Accept it for value. Tell them that you agree with whatever they're saying as long as they can conditionally tell you why. Have you ever put conditions on any contract? That nullifies the contract. Well, on the picture, I'm sure when I get it back, if I get it, it's going to have an A for B on there, right? So we're going to A for B that thing and send it on in so that the camera people can pay for their photo equipment or whatever they're doing.
It's
no problem.
You just said. I don't understand. I know what you said, but I don't understand.
You need to do a video.
I'll have to do that later, but we're going to stay on the zip code tonight. If you want to talk to me later, I can talk to you about some of that stuff. There's some things that I can't talk about on the internet. Also use zip codes, right there, the third bullet point down, or within the municipal, which means corporation, exclusive legislative jurisdiction of Congress. The Pennsylvania Commonwealth is one of the several states. Now you see how they spell that? The Pennsylvania Commonwealth? That is one of the several states. So they're talking about a de jure state. The next statement there, it says the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. They just flopped those two words around. You think they're talking about the same thing, don't you? I did. But I've been looking at contracts. So what they did is they flopped those two words around, and then they say, is also known as PA. That's an abbreviation. So now that's in the jurisdiction of District of Columbia.
Those are two different places.
Exactly. There's one laying right over the top of Pennsylvania that's called jurisdiction. Okay? And if your feet are under the ground instead of on top of the ground,
And you're dead?
That's right. That's why you say you live in the state of Arizona. You're dead. You're just a corporation. When you say you live on the land, you're a real man. Taught us from first grade on up till where we're at now that you live in where? And you say, I live in Page. I live in Flagstaff. I live in Phoenix. The judge just heard you say, I'm dead. I don't have anything to do with this and I can't speak. That's why you have to have an attorney speak for you, because you're dead. You're a corporation. You're a corp. These are the words that they use. If you look up corporation, it means dead. Something dead. Corpse. Comes from the word corpse. You guys, come on, man. These are just words. We can do this. Okay, the Postal Service cannot discriminate against the non-use of the zip code. See Postal Reorganization Act, Public Law 91-375. That's about the fifth bullet down. In 1997, I attended a seminar on state citizenship and traffic issues. A page in the seminar handout titled "The Patriot Zip Code Invokes Federal Jurisdiction." They had this to say, and I'm not including material already covered in above. That's really a heavy thing right there, because a lot of the patriot people understand this. Now, I'm not saying I'm a patriot, and I'm not saying I'm not. What I'm saying is, give to Caesar what's Caesar's. And when you understand who Caesar is, it's really a cool thing. Okay, raise this up some more. I got to show you what this is. The coolest thing I've seen in a long time that I found. Keep going on up. State abbreviations. Okay, right there. Remember the claim above that said the Pennsylvania Commonwealth is one of the several states, and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania is also known as PA? Is a subdivision of the District of Columbia. If you accept postal matter sent to PA and or with a zip code, the courts say that this is evidence that you are a federal citizen or a resident. Now, one of the tricks of the trade is they don't have to tell you why you're in dishonor when you come to court. And they have to get your consent. And they have to get your consent several different ways. This is one of them. So if you respond to the court with a zip code, or you tell the judge that you're in a zip code when you tell him your name and address, you are done. Okay? So, now here's the cool thing. This was in the document from 1998. 4th edition, 1968 is also some great stuff. But if you look at the state name Alabama, the U.S. Postal Service says that they're not yet a state. Alaska is not yet a state. It's spelled out Alaska. Arizona is not yet a state. Now let's look at the states that are states. Raise that up a little higher. Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia.
Of the 13 colonies?
The 13 states. Wow, the several states. Do you see how deep they've buried all this stuff from us? And all we got to do is read. All this stuff is on the internet. They have to give you notice. The cool part is that they give us notice in movies. I mean, they gave us notice with The Wizard of Oz. They gave us notice with The Matrix. All these things are for us to understand that we can participate in the act, or we can decide not to play in the act. Now, here's a thing that we learned 9 months ago. When you're walking around, let's say you're jogging or using exercise around a basketball court, and there's a bunch of guys playing basketball on the court. Get the word court? Did you get the word court?
Yeah.
Okay. And as you're walking by, somebody says, "Hey, come on, play some basketball with us." And you go, "Man, I don't want to play basketball, thanks. I'm going to get some exercise here." And you just keep walking. Well, they throw the ball to you. When you catch the ball, you're in the game. That's it. So what we were learning was to dodge the ball. So we're playing dodgeball while they're playing basketball. So we'd go to court, and we would dodge the ball. "What's your name?" "Why do you need my name?" "What's your address?" "What's your birthday?" I mean, we're doing all this stuff. Now we've come to the point where we just catch the ball, and we hold on to the ball. Game's over. That's our right. That's the Republic working properly.
Stab it.
We just like to walk off the basketball court with the ball. It's ball. See, everything that the judge gives you is an offer. If you go to McDonald's and you order something, who has to pay? You do. So when the judge orders you to do something, who's got to pay for it? The judge has to pay for it. His next job is to fake you into paying it. You guys understand that? He wants you to be surety for his order. Now, I'm telling you all this stuff. There's a lot of people that are staring at me like I'm crazy, but there's a lot of people out there that know exactly what I'm saying because they've done this. Okay? How do you cancel a contract? Go ahead.
Conditionally accept it.
Okay, what he said was you can amend any contract as long as you're in honor in the original contract. So if I have, let me say this is a good analogy. I told Thomas, I'm going to take out your trash for the next 10 years. I live right next to you. Have I told this on tape before? Have I told this on?
Last week.
Okay. I'm going to tell it again. It's a really great way. And so I take out his trash every Saturday morning. For 8 years, I get sick and tired of it. Now, I've told him I'm going to take out his trash no matter what, rain or shine, I'm going to take out your trash for you every Saturday morning. So I roll it out for him. After 8 years, I go, man, I am sick and tired of taking out this guy's trash. He didn't even tell me thanks. And you know what? He's not even hitting the trash can now. He's just throwing it out kind of on the side yard. And I got to pick it all up and put it in the trash can. So I notice him. Tom, I'm getting tired of taking out your trash. I know I told you I would, but I'm getting kind of tired of it. You haven't been hitting the trash can, and this isn't what I really thought it would be. I thought I'd get a little more thanks for it. And so here's what I'm going to tell you. If you can come up with some really good idea or reason or some kind of amendment why I shouldn't cancel this contract, please let me know in the next 21 days, or I am canceling this contract. And by the way, if you don't respond, you get to take out my trash for the next 8 years. And I send it to him. But I don't just take it over. I got to have a witness. So I use a notary presentment, which is Mr. Jones, the next door neighbor from all of us. So Mr. Jones goes over and goes, hey, Tom, here you go. Bill's picked. So he reads it and he goes, well, he can't change that. I ain't got time to answer it. Got a wedding to go to, whatever. So then I send a second notice. Mr. Jones, would you take this over? You haven't responded to my first notice, therefore I'm giving you a second notice. No response. The third notice I give to Mr. Jones, I go, hey, would you take this over and tell him the deal's over? He takes it over and he gives him his third notice, all signed, sealed, and he witnesses it. Now, he gets up a month later and he says, hey, my trash is piling up, Bill. And I go, didn't you get my notice? He goes, yeah, but you can't change the contract. Oh, but I did. And it's now enforceable because you didn't respond. You acquiesced. That's how they get you in court. That's how they get you on a traffic ticket. That's how they get you to be in dishonor, which is the same thing as default. So I said, by the way, you got to take out my trash for the next 8 years because you didn't respond. That's how you cancel a contract. So let's say the IRS, anybody, I shouldn't use the word IRS. Let's say that you get something in the mail that you don't agree with. You can say, I accept your offer on the condition that you can show me the law, a statute, says I have to do that. And you have 21 days to respond. You send it back to, can they respond? They can't respond because if they told the truth, they would show the fraud. So what they do is they just don't respond. How many people in here sent something to Timothy Geithner in the last year? Anybody get a response back from him?
Nope.
It's because we're telling the truth. And he knows it. Great. We got some guys that are going to help pay the bills around here. How many people use the IRS to pay the bills? Right on. Look at this out here, man. There's guys here that use the bank called the Internal Revenue Service to help us out. They're the enforcers. How would you like to have them out collecting your debts? Man, I love it. Those guys are on it. And there's forms so that you can get those guys to do that for you. They put it out for you. If you need us to collect debts for you, let us know. If you're a creditor, let us know who they are so we'll go get it for you. Great. Well, it happened to be a court. We'll go get them. Happened to be a traffic ticket. We'll get them. I mean, their motto is, we'll get them for you. All you got to do is learn how to use those guys. Okay? Remember this, that you are the sponsor of the credit of the nation. You're the sponsor of the credit for this nation. Without you guys, there'd be nothing. Your family, your grandparents, your great-grandparents, did they give you a check? Did they get you into probate and tell you that you guys are wealthy? Did they tell you that there's inheritances beyond your wildest dreams for you to use? They didn't tell you that because they don't have to. All they had to do was give the remedy. They didn't have to tell you where it's at. So listen, you guys, if you want to become a secure party creditor, I highly recommend it. But don't take it lightly. Don't use it to someone else's disadvantage. When you're a creditor, we always stand in honor and take care of the debt. Okay? Does that help out anybody?
You betcha.
Does anybody have any questions about the zip code now? Good. Go ahead.
I'm just wondering, did you say that you, as a creditor, cannot use a zip code to mail something to somebody who is not, like someone in a de facto?
I would just be very careful. If you understand the zip code. Yeah. Do I need to go over the Four Corners rule real quick for everybody? Does anybody understand that? Or the Four Corners rule. If you pull that up on the internet, Four Corners rule, it'll tell you exactly. It'll give you the whole thing. And I'm gonna draw this out. Go ahead. I just pulled up zip code as a search on the Google. It's called the Four Corners rule. Whenever that corporation up in King County and the judge's oath and how he tried to sneak a fast one. Sure. I should do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything within a four corners only pertains to the four corners. So if you have a document like this, okay, and there's writing on it, everything on that document is part of that document. If you use a square box like this with your typewriter and you put in your zip code like this, that means it's not part of the document. They can't see it. The judge can't see it. Anybody else can't see it. When you make a payment on your credit card, and let's use this as a return voucher, there's 4 boxes and there's a period here, and then there's 2 more boxes here.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm going to give you a little clue what's going on. When you put anything in here, $1,141.16, and you send it to them, they don't recognize that. They adjust your account, but that didn't go anywhere except into their pocket. They've got a secret, it's called a secret account, and they deposit that into a special account with your name on it. After 3.5 years, and I don't know why it's 3.5, but after 3.5 years, they notify the IRS that you've abandoned your money. Can we keep it? And the IRS says, absolutely. Just send us our cut. Anything in a box doesn't apply to the contract. Okay? So if you get a traffic ticket from a highway patrolman and you want to be nice, put a box around it, sign your name in it. When it gets to the judge, he's got real problems because there's no signature on it. Okay?
Say that again.
Put a box around your name when you sign it.
Put the box first. Box off the contract. See, that's a contract. When you sign a ticket, it's got the officer's name on it, it's got your name on it, it's got the terms of the contract on there.
Okay.
You're to show up in court and pay the bill. That's what the contract is. So if you put a box around your signature area and you sign it, your signature isn't on that document. Now, if you know how to defend that when you get to court, that's a great thing. If you don't know how to defend it, you get there and you think the judge is going to throw it out, he's going to come around on the backside and get you for something else like a zip code or a birth date. I don't want to get anybody in trouble here, because I will tell you this, if you learn just enough to get yourself in trouble, you're going to spend 5 days in a county jail like I did. I wrote a song, it's called Spent 5 Days in a County Jail because I told the judge to go to... All right. So this is the 4 corners rule. Now, I'm gonna make this another box right here. Now let's do this. This is what the judge's oath. He sent me his oath of office, and this is what it looked like. And it said, right here, it said oath, and then it said his name, and it said, I swear to uphold the Constitution, and and all that other stuff that they say. And then it had his signature here, and then it had, I think it was the clerk of the court's signature right here. And there was an area here that was supposed to have a seal in it, because the seal would have validated that oath. But what they did is they took a seal and stamped it over here, and then it said justice or something, seal, and it said Utah, like this. And then down here at the bottom, it said this is a true and certified copy, and where it said certified copy, and then it was signed, and the lady that's supposed to sign this from the from the county recorder's office, she signed, when they made this copy, they made the copy so her signature was off of the page. It wasn't even on the page. Now here's the cool part. There's 2 contracts there. She's certifying this right here, even if her name was up here, she's certifying that everything here is true and correct. She's not certifying anything about this because it's in a box. This is a separate contract. So this oath, where the seal was, it was gone. So what this oath is saying is that this guy committed perjury along with this guy to say he was upholding some constitution. We don't know which one, because it didn't say the Constitution for the United States, it said the Constitution. And then he sent it to me through the mail, which is mail fraud. And then he threw me in jail for 5 days because I pointed that out to him. And I entered it into the record when I got to the court. I entered in 8 documents. She comes back and she says 25 cents a copy. She says that'll be $1.75. I'm not a mathematician, but I knew it was going to be $2. So I said, well, that's a deal. So I started looking through my documents, and the oath of office was gone. Monty, were you with me?
I was there. Yes, sir.
The document was gone, wasn't it?
It was gone.
And I said, where's the oath of office that was here? And she goes, I didn't see no oath of office. I said, yeah, the one that the judge sent me. It was in that pile of paperwork that you're supposed to copy, stamp, and seal, and give back to me as as information in the record. She goes, sir, you only gave me 7 documents. I said, well, that's okay. I've got an extra one right here. And she turned 16 shades of green. She started shaking like a leaf because what she had done, she committed fraud. She took that oath of office and she left it on the copy machine back there, and she didn't bring me back my copy. She didn't bring me back the original. Because she knew what was going on. So when I gave her the last one, I said, now when you leave with this one, I expect you to bring this one back to me. So I want this original, and I want you to bring me back another one. And she turned around, and when she went back to the corner, we seen the judge peek out behind the door, didn't we? Because he knew he'd been had. I'm telling you right now. The problem is, he wasn't really had, because it's a corporation, okay? And I agreed to the terms and conditions somewhere along the way. When I pointed that out to him, I said, because your oath of office is in the box, it's a 4 corners rule, the seal doesn't pertain to the oath, and the person that signed it didn't sign it all the way on the paperwork, so this is all fraud, and you sent it to me with the intent for fraud. And if you don't have an oath of office, all cases that you have heard in the last 10 years, or since this thing was signed in 1993, are all void.
No.
And I handed it to him over the bench so he could read it. And when he saw that, the attorney knew his boss man was cooked, and so they both conspired real quick and said, could you please contain the defendant? And I went, uh-oh. Would you please make the defendant shut up? He's making a ruckus here. And I went, I'm not saying a word. What's going on here? The next thing I knew, they pulled a fast one on me, and I was in the county slammer for 5 days. But that's
How'd you get out?
I was nice to the jailer. I made friends while I was in there. They let me out. But anyway, so this 4 corners rule is really an incredible thing if you understand how it works. When you read documents, start looking for it. Anything that's in a square box does not pertain to the contract. And everything is a contract that you get. Whether it's a bill, a ticket, an offer, anything that comes from the court is an offer. Now I'm going to show you something else that works out. Let's say this is the courtroom.
Backing up a little bit, where you talk about where you send in a bill and you write your amount in the box and you send it in and they put it in a secret account, and after 3.5 years they say it's abandoned and they take the money. How do you go about saying it isn't abandoned? I want my money back. If you
This
have
guy
an
said,
answer, fine. If you don't, you've got an area to research.
If that's a great question, but I really can't answer that. And the reason why I can't is because there's a trust between the trust account called your SESQ birth certificate trust and the people that are managing that birth certificate trust. It'd be like me jumping over the fence into the plantation and telling the slaves, you don't have to work tomorrow. There's 100 of us. We can take the boss. Okay, I can't do that. So as the plantation owner's slaves sneak out one at a time and come on over to my house for some banana pudding, we can talk about that stuff, okay? You understand what I'm saying?
I got it.
Okay, now when you walk into court, you remember the old saying, you're hung by the words of your mouth? You can't catch a fish if he keeps his mouth shut. And then they tell you, they give you notice. They tell you anything you say can and will be. They're going to use everything you say because they're going to twist it, they're going to turn it, they're going to do whatever. So if you don't say anything, okay, about your case, you win. Now, I'm going to show you why. When you walk into a court, I'm going to make this a square box right here. This is a separate deal over here. You walk in, let's say this is the doors coming in, and they have the peanut gallery right here, right? Everybody recognize that? And you got all these seats.
Yeah.
I call them the church pew. And then there's another gate right here.
Right.
And that's called the bar. The bar stands for British Accredited Registry, but that's where you get on the ship. Now, you know they have these posts like this, and it looks like the side of a ship?
Yep.
That's notice. You're about to board an enemy vessel. Now, there's a couple that don't have them because they can't afford them. I think they use them to keep the place warm in the wintertime. They burn them in the fireplace or whatever. But anyway, there is a bar somewhere. And if there isn't one, you say to the judge, excuse me, sir, further on the record, where's the bar? Where's the bow of your ship? Where's the stern of your ship? I don't recognize it. They'll know what you're talking about. Okay, so if these guys say anything in your case back here in this box, how does it help or hurt your case? It doesn't, because you can't hear it. Over here there's a jury, and this is where the jury sits, and what are they sitting in?
Box.
Can they hear anything you're saying?
No.
It's all for show. It's a dog and pony show. Now up here on the left side, well, let's go ahead and use this one. This is where the guy in the black robe sits. And he's sitting in a what?
Box.
Okay? And next to him there's the clerk of the court, and then over here we've got maybe a stenographer, and over here we've got a witness stand. So anybody that's testifying, what are they in? Okay, so there's only 2 guys in this box, and that's called the court. It's like a basketball game. In common law, this is how all this works. Once they get you on their ship, none of this works. So you got to be careful how you get on the ship. This guy shoots a cannonball at you. and you shoot a cannonball back. This guy shoots a cannonball, and you shoot a cannonball back. Okay? And the last guy to shoot a cannonball wins. The Bible says the last man to walk away wins. The first man to leave the battlefield loses. So he says something, and you say something, and he says something, and you say something, and you're getting hung by the words of your mouth every time you talk, because they don't care what you're saying. What you're saying is, you must have been there. You must have been in the car. You must have been speeding. There's a couple of guys who went to court with me, and I won hands down, and I never, ever said I was on the motorcycle doing 55, 45. I wasn't. I didn't say any of that. I didn't bring up the whole point. Because the cop got up here and talked in this bench. He got up there on the witness stand. Now, how many people have been to a court and had a cop just tell the story from over here? If you get them in the box, whatever they're saying doesn't matter, because the judge can't hear it. It's not part of the record. I know it sounds crazy.
But he physically hears it. Right?
He can hear it. What I said to him was the officer started talking, and I said, "Excuse me, objection." And the judge says, "What are you objecting to?" And I said, "Is he going to swear in?" And the judge says, "Raise your right hand and swear after me." And the cop looked at me and looked at him like, "Wow, I've never sworn in before." So he swore him in. Now he's taken an oath on the word that he was going to tell the truth. So he started talking, and I go, "Objection!" The judge goes, "What are you objecting to now?" And I said, "Is he going to get on the witness stand?" And so he says, "Would you like to take the witness stand?" And the officer said, "Okay, I'll take the witness stand." I'm not kidding you guys. I'm not kidding you. So he went around here and got on here and talked. Now, when he got all done, I said to the judge, I said, "Look, and I'm here in honor. I'm a secure party creditor. Where's the bill? I haven't gotten an order." And the judge said, "I'd like to move to my verdict." And I said, "I object you moving to your verdict. Required to give me remedy here. Where's my remedy?" And the judge says, "I'd like to move to my verdict if you would, please." Now, this is a shortened version, because it went for about 15 minutes. I wanted to throw out 14 of it. He says, "In the matter of the state of Arizona versus William Del Faust, I find that the officer did not properly identify William Del Faust. Therefore, I must dismiss the ticket." And he slammed his gavel, got him, walked out, and I went, "Wow, that went fast. What happened?" And Hal goes, "Oh, yeah, can you believe it worked?" The cop knows me. He's known me for 10 years. He knew me 9 years before he wrote me the ticket. And he said, "I don't understand what just happened." And I said, "You probably won't ever understand. I'm not going to tell you what I did." And we walked out of there that day, and that cop was just shaking his head like, I don't get it. You're William Del Faust. I got you. I saw you. I did this. I wrote you the ticket. You showed up in court. I did everything right." And the cop said, "What are you, friends with the judge?"
It was like $1,400 worth of fines.
Yeah, $1,400 worth of fines, and I never argued about any of it. I just said, "Yeah, give me the deal." Go ahead.
Did you give the court your name?
I didn't. There's 3 contracts.
Leave if we don't.
Does this make sense to you? 3, 3, and 3? Your Social Security has 9 numbers. There's a lot of things that have 3, 3, and 3. Okay. The first thing the judge asks you is, "What's your name?" First, middle, and last. That's 3. Is anybody's name really what they call you? I mean, nobody around here calls me William. Call me Bill. So I said to the judge, "My name is Bill. I'm here as a friend of the court, amicus curiae, and I'd like to help out the court. Is there anything I can do in that capacity?" So he says, "Are you in fact Mr. Faust?" Now, Mr. is a fiction. Mr. Faust is actually the all capital letters name, because that's a fiction. So I said, "No, my name is Bill." I wanted to tell him my friends call me Bill, my kids call me Dad, my wife calls me good looking. But don't you call me good looking, sir. I said, "If you would, please call me Bill. That would be great." So he said, "Are you in fact Mr. Faust?" Now, if I would have said yes, I would have lied, wouldn't I? Because in fact, I am not a fiction. So they're just looking for you to lie. So I said, "No, my name is Bill, and if you would, and he interrupted me. I said, "Excuse me, you interrupt." So he said, "Would you please take the defendant's chair?" And he pointed to the defendant's chair. It was right about here. So I walked up and I go, "Would it be all right if I took that chair as a secure party creditor with all my unalienable rights in full effect?" And he didn't say anything. I said, "For the record, no one's objected to me taking the seat with my unalienable rights in full effect. Therefore..."
What do you think, unalienable?
Unalienable. I call him unalienable. Doesn't that make more sense? He can't lien my rights. They wrote it unalienable.
Right.
But if you get to the root of it, it's unalienable. Unalienable. That means they can't lien your rights. See, when you walk in there, if you give up your rights, they're leaning on you. So I said, "So, since no one has objected to that, I'm going to go ahead and enter these proceedings under my own terms and conditions. And therefore, I feel comfortable sitting here, so I'm just going to sit on this side of the ship." Only I didn't say ship. I said, "I'm going to sit on this side of the bar." I said, "You can continue." How's that for telling the judge what to do?
So where did you sit down then?
So then I sat down right over here in the peanut gallery with my buddies.
Okay.
Okay. I got some moral support. They were poking me in the back and shooting me with paper clips. But anyway, so then he said, what's your address? There's your address. Street, city, and state. So I said, the proof of claim that you have here today, does it require that? And he said, I ask you a question. And I said, I'll give you that upon proof of claim. So then he asked me the next thing, what's your birth date? Now let me tell you what your birth date is. Day, month, and year. Now, they just snuck it right by you, because they spell birth, and when did you bring your vessel into our port so that we could tax you? That's what they're asking. So here's how I handled that. Sir, I could not possibly tell you what my birth date was. I was awful young when I was born. And if I told you what day my parents told me, that would be hearsay. And hearsay is inadmissible in a court of law.
Good going, buddy.
Now, this is all stuff that I thought up. A lot of it I got from the anti-terrorist on the video. If you watch the anti-terrorist, he's really great on avoiding all this stuff. But at some point, you got to quit avoiding, and you got to get in there, and you got to have some contact with the judge. So he interrupted me again, and I told him, you've interrupted me twice. If you do that again, you're in dishonor. Now, what do they call him? Honorable whatever. Okay? He has to act in honor. So I said to him, have you taken an oath of office? And he said, I have. And I said, do you have that oath here today? He said, well, it's in the back. I said, did you swear on the word of God when you took that oath? He said, I did. I said, did you sign it? He said, I did. So I said, I adjudicate your oath of office here today in this matter. Do I need to explain that to you? He said, yeah, why don't you explain that to me? If I'm lying, I'm dying. I said it just like that. I said, you want me to explain that to you? He says, yeah, why don't you explain that to me? So that means you can't practice law from the bench. That means you can't counsel from the bench. That means you're here as a mediator only, and it's between me and this guy right here. Do you understand that? Now, I want to tell you that I filed some stuff in on the private side before I went to court. You guys need to understand that. I filed some stuff on the private side before I went into the court, so the judge kind of had an idea who I was there before I got there. Okay? So that makes things go a little simpler. But at some point, you guys are going to have to stand up for yourself and let them know that you're not a U.S. citizen, if that's what you choose not to be. If you want to be a U.S. citizen, I was one for 48 years, 49 years. As this goes on, you see all these boxes are really in my favor. Because this guy is acting. He's acting. Because he's Officer Jones. Whenever you put a name in front of somebody's name, it turns them into an actor. And he's acting because he's part of the DMV Act. And you can tell that they're all acting because they wear costumes. He was wearing an officer's costume when he showed up. He was wearing an officer's costume when he pulled me over. This is funny, isn't it? And the judge, he's wearing a costume. He's acting like a judge. So who's the only real man in the audience? Me. You see what I'm saying, guys? This is all very simple. The Republic is there for us to use and to work it. All you have to do is study, study, study. Now, I'm not giving anybody any coaching here, because I will tell you that if you get in there and you don't understand what's going on, they're going to turn you around. But it's okay to learn. I've learned, and at the very end I said, hey, I'm sorry I messed up. I asked for your forgiveness. And if you ask the judge for your forgiveness, for his forgiveness, and you make him say yes or no before you can move on, that hides a multitude of sins. Remember that one.
That's also scriptural.
That's right. Because forgiveness is what? Debt? Our debtors? All this is biblical, guys. If we sat down, I could whip out the Word of God and I could show you exactly how we've gotten into the point of no return, with several exits coming up that you can get off and turn around and get your boat. She asked, when do you denounce the protection from the RICO Act? But the RICO Act falls under citizens.
Racketeering and influencing and corrupt organization.
There you go.
Short for IRS.
Racketeering. Yeah.
Racketeering.
Okay, so
Racketeering, yeah.
how many people believe they get their rights from the Constitution? Raise your hand.
No, from God.
That's great, okay. So what we did is we took our rights that come from God. Oh, I shouldn't put that up below that. I should really start over here. Let's go like this. Rights come from God. Anybody disagree with that? No. Okay. Now, so here's man. And we have a covenant between God and man. And there's no one between it. unless somebody's come up with some new documentation. I believe the Rockefellers tried to hide some of that stuff. I don't even know the guy, but I heard he did. Okay, so then what man did is they created the Constitution, realistically, to keep the government at bay.
Right.
Because it had lots and lots of problems. These guys that created the Constitution were so smart and so intelligent. They were where we're at right now. Okay? They understood what tyranny was. When I read what James Madison wrote, some of the things that Ben Franklin wrote, those guys were so intelligent. And I mean lawyers in a good way. Lawyers in fact instead of lawyers in law. Okay, so underneath the government created these corporations. And at first it was a pretty good deal. But what they thought is, hey, why don't we start a corporation called the U.S., and we'll sneak these guys underneath this. We'll get some state corporations, and then we'll get some county corporations. Does anybody know that their state is incorporated? Does everybody know that?
Yep.
You can pull it up and look and see what they're doing, how much they're making. And then underneath the county, there's city corporations. They just come right out and say it. I got some paperwork from the city of Salt Lake, and it said, a corporation, city of Salt Lake. They're right out there telling you they're a corporation. And then below the cities and all that stuff, they've got, I'm going to write this out, straw man. Okay? What they did is they got your mom to give you to the state. She was the informant on your birth certificate. She tattled on your dad for abandoning you. So she gave up all of her rights and gave it to the county or the state, mostly the state. So that's where that is. Now, the evidence of this is Bill of Lading Act. Really goes into some depth on that. And it talks about vessels. And vessels are always spelled with all capital letters. It says it in the manual for the United States, manual for words and documentation. So if you're a all vessel, if you're an all capitals letter name and you're a vessel, you've agreed to the terms and conditions of all these contracts above you. So what you did is you gave up your rights for benefits and privileges. Now, if anybody has ever lived at home with their dad, and you come home drinking and your dad says, hey, no TV, you're going to get out there in the yard and you're going to work, you're in prison for 3 days because you were out drinking. He took away my benefits and privileges. Now, when I got to be 21, 22 years old and I had my own place, I went out drinking. My dad comes over and knocks on my door and says, hey, you've been out drinking. You're going to come over to my house. You're not going to watch no TV. And I go, hey, I gave up my benefits and privileges. I have rights now. I'm my own man. You can't come over here and tell me what to do. Is that making sense to you guys? So do you want benefits or privileges, or do you want rights? How do you change your contract?
Amend it.
You amend it. So how do you give up your benefits and privileges back for rights? There's only one person who can do that. Excuse me, person is a bad name too. Person's down here. There's only one living man that can do that, and that's you. Right there. And you can change that by amending the contracts that you've agreed to. And believe me, there's lots of them. Your driver's license is a contract, Social Security card's a contract. All those things are contracts, and they just get you so entangled that if they ain't hitting you from the left, they're kicking you in the butt from behind. There's nothing you can do unless you change your status to a secure party creditor. So I want to tell you that's really great stuff. Go ahead.
You got a lot of parties to notify then, obviously.
Most everyone here notified 18 huge agencies. I'm a little different. I went ahead and did 20 because I got a surprise for some people, but things are good. I want to tell you that when you understand what I understand, you go to bed at night and you sleep really good because you know who you are. And the good news is the judges and the corporation, a lot of them, they really respect you when you know what you do and you know what you do for a good reason and why you're doing it. They don't have to be pirates with us anymore. We're just going to help them fund their deal. I would say they know a lot from the judges' school. And if they don't know and they get a problem case that comes through, they're calling their friends that are already up at the top of the ladder and wondering, asking what to do. Because, see, if they get any black marks on their record, they don't get to move up as fast. And all of them want to get to the top. They all do. Because there's some serious money at the top for judges in the Supreme Court or in the Superior Courts. Okay? So it's all greed-oriented. Well, I just did, in a roundabout way. The RICO doesn't pertain to any living man. RICO is only for slaves. It's really for all the people down at the bottom of the pile. Now, there's two ways to handle your life. You can continue to be a slave and scream bloody murder about living conditions. Or you can just take the key, unlock the handcuffs, and go start your own. You don't have to be a slave. In all their rule books and law books, it says that involuntary servitude is unlawful. Only voluntary servitude is lawful. And we've all volunteered for the deal.
Well, here's another thing. I saw district court cases where they ruled that even the TSA was by permission, where you
Sure.
have to grant them permission.
Sure.
So if you say, I do not consent to even taking off my shoes,
Right?
please escort me to the plane.
Right?
It should work, but I've never tried it. But then I thought, well, if I try it.
All I can say is I pick my battles, and that's not a big one for me right now. But a lot of times people don't get all their ducks in a row before they go out and take on the government. And a lot of people are in a hurry to get their stuff done because of either some cases that have come up or somebody has made some allegations against you. If you set out and build your house on a solid foundation, and you don't start building the third floor and then try and jack it up and put a second floor underneath it, jack it up, put a first floor underneath it. Any contractors know what I'm talking about. You got to start with the foundation, and it has to be good, square, plumb, and smooth and ready to go. And if it is, then you can move on to the next step. Now, I've been very cautious along the way so that I can defend everything that I do, either in court or at a court, or have even the IRS show up and want to ask me some questions. So, first thing we like to do is make sure that they're happy with us. You agree with them? Okay? So, when we say pay your taxes, we mean it. Pay your taxes. Okay? We are all for it. In fact, we pay extra. Health? We pay right on.
Get it off a discharge base.
So you can play this on the video. Mr. Harris, we're all on paying the taxes. Okay. Question?
Yeah, earlier when you were talking about like signing a ticket or something, you said you're going to close it on box. But my signature, I get a little wild with it.
Yeah, keep it in the box.
It says stay in the box. Okay.
Keep it in the box, buddy. Write real small. Okay. Thomas.
I've been writing my name and then putting the box afterwards.
Yeah.
And it's always in the box.
Well, if they see you do that, he could actually, that's a technicality. And they could say you signed it first and then boxed it, and that made it part of the contract before you boxed it.
Oh.
Okay. It's called a allonge. Anybody know what allonge means? A-L-L-O-U-N-G. Okay. Look, is anybody taking notes? Yep. These are some great words to look up. Allonge.
You're being recorded.
All right, good. Go ahead.
I have a question that's going way back to the Postal Service stuff.
Okay.
It's of interest to me because I've been working for them for nearly 30 years.
Well, good to have you here.
And the whole time I've worked for them is I hear this line that it's a quasi-governmental corporation, blah, blah, blah. So I'm looking at it as like, okay, it's neither fish nor fowl. It's not private. It's not really the government. What the hell is it? And that's a question I would like answered because that speaks to my status to a great deal.
Okay, you sold two different forms of registration to get mail across to anybody. You had certified and you had registered. Okay. The certified stickers are printed out by the U.S. Post Office. The registered mails are printed by Bern, Switzerland. So when you send something registered mail, that has to be handled through international contract. So when you use that registered mail, okay, when you register something internationally, it takes precedence over the top of U.S. jurisdiction. So we send stuff registered mail. And you probably know about the $21. We just put the $21 on the envelope for anything really important, because what that does, it takes it out of U.S. jurisdiction. If there's a problem, it's handled through international. The Interpol, Court Hague. So all these things, you see, we were taught that the U.S. is just the ultimate power corporation, and if they were the last word, and if they said it, you're dead. And everybody's shaking their head, but agree with me that that's the way it was. I mean, I believe that all the way through when I was driving a truck, man. If the judge said you're going to pay $500, well, I started figuring out how I could get $500. I mean, who do you appeal it to? You know, they're all buddies. So when you find out that they are not, the cool part is when they know that you know, they treat you different. Okay? I was joking around. I was saying that if you were a foreigner from France and you were here driving, okay, and before you left France, okay, let's say you're a multi-billionaire and you have a trust account, and before you come to the United States, you sent an insurance policy and you notified all the agencies saying, hey, I've got insurance, and by the way, I've got a checking account that I just opened up, and if there's any problems, I'm going to give you my number so that you can cash a check for anything that I do, including tickets. I don't pay my water bill. I hit somebody's dog accidentally, you know. And so you're coming along and you're driving over here, man, and all of a sudden the red lights come on. You're all set, am I right?
Yep.
You got everything covered. All crimes are commercial here in the United States. You get pulled over, and the guy comes up and goes, I need your license, registration, insurance. Now here's my accent. I don't know what you're talking about. I do not have any of that. Why do I need a driver's license? I'm not part of the DMV Act. He says, well, if you don't have a license, I'm going to take you to jail. Well, I'm sorry to tell you this, but I already have a bond in place for you to access at my convenience, so that there is no discourse between you and me, and there's no default. What's the cop going to say?
What'd you say?
Exactly.
So he says, well, I'm going to write you a ticket. Okay, if you want to write me a contract, I will accept it under conditions that you will use my bond and my checking account number to cover all accidents, so I don't have to stop my life and go to your court because I don't play basketball very well. And I want you to just take care of all this for me. I'm not taking care of nothing for you, pal. Here's your ticket. So you get to court, right? And the judge says, what is your name? And you say, I don't know what importance of my name is because I already have the contract filled out here. And I want to pay this immediately. Except that your officer did not give me a check already filled out with your account number so that I could sign it. Where's the check? And the judge says, uh-oh. I'll tell you what I'm going to do, Judge. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to accept this one right here as a valuable object. I'm going to sign it, and I'm going to give it to you right now so that everything is covered. I'm here in 3 days before the common law, which I'm accustomed to in my town. We have to take care of everything in 3 days. 3 days, no more than 3 days. We always take care of everything 3 days. So we're staying on. And I want to take care of this. So right now, you go ahead and access my check. And by the way, you can put on extra fees and for your salary, retirement, and maybe some really good dog food for your dog. Because I know that you coming down here every day to argue with the slaves is really a problem for you. And I want to make sure that you have a plenty for you and your family. I appreciate you coming in. Thank you. I bid you adieu. And you walk out. Now that's the way it's supposed to be taken care of. Now if you guys understand what I'm saying, someday you're going to be telling stories about this. Okay? How you like it? I didn't even bring up the min key. Okay, so go ahead.
So when I make credit card payments, do I put them out in the little squares or above it or below it or outside it?
Whatever you want to do is okay. You just got to understand what you're doing. If you put it outside there, okay, they may send it back to you and tell you that you didn't put it in the box. They may. They may just accept it, and if you make a copy of that, you may be building a case for later on if you make copies of all the stuff that you do, if you know how to defend that. I'm sorry I can't get real specific with you because this is how I would do things, and I can't tell you exactly how I would do it because if you do it and you don't know how to defend it, you'll have some problems. The good news is that there is a shining light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not a train.